Now, the thing about Mondays, we've all heard this in the past. Steer clear of seafood on Mondays.
Right.
Is this still true?
In some cases, it's still true, although it's less true than when it kind of became popularized about a decade ago. And a book by Kitchen Confidential by Anthony Bourdain. A lot of it kind of blew up the restaurant scene when it came out. But in any event, while it is still true in some cases, basically what some restaurants will do is order a whole bunch of seafood on Thursday because they can't get deliveries over the weekend. And so if they don't sell it all over the weekend, what you're eating on Monday, several days old. But with the, overnight delivery becoming more of a thing, you can still, I wouldn't be as worried about it as, maybe you should have been a while ago. The trick, though, is to always look for restaurants that are busy. It sounds so simple, but, especially a seafood restaurant, you want the high turnover. You want them to be ordering fish often because several-day-old fish, not so good.
Trust your neighbors. All right, but the other thing is about restaurants, they don't have to tell you where the fish comes from. That's not true in the grocery stores. You do know when you buy it in the grocery stores. Why not the restaurants?
It's political. I mean, I wish it was something more simple, but basically it's a country of origin labeling. COOL is what it's called. There was a law that was passed a while ago that basically in the grocery stores, if you buy fresh fish, it has to tell you what country where it came from. In restaurants, that's not the case. Technically, it's considered processed since it's being cooked by the restaurant. Even sushi is processed, I guess.
What about chemicals in the fish? I mean, these must be regulated, I would assume. Do we always know what the chemicals are?
We don't always know what the chemicals are. I mean, they're regulated in the U.S., so if the fish is coming from the U.S., it will pass U.S. standards. The problem is countries, especially some of the Asian countries that do a lot of fish farming and where we're importing a lot of fish from, don't have those same strict rules, and therefore there might be some banned substances in them. There have been some studies that have shown some fish turning up with some banned substances in them. Whether if there's enough to cause health concerns, that's still kind of up for debate. And if you talk to a lot of the fish groups, they'll tell you, imported fish is safe to eat. Most of our fish is imported, but it's something to keep in mind.
And are they subbing the fishes that you get sometimes? I mean, you're not always getting what you pay for?
Exactly, and this is a pretty common problem that is just now getting a lot of attention. Basically, there are some stats that say anywhere from 25 to 70% of fish is mislabeled. It's really easy to call, grouper something else, or, actually grouper would be good, but, tilapia something else. A white fish is a white fish. It's really hard for people to tell the difference once it's cooked, and so sometimes restaurants will mislabel. They'll substitute cheaper products in for something that's more expensive and not change the price. Sometimes it's happening even at the distributor level, where distributors will sell to restaurants mislabeled fish. It's kind of a rampant problem, and the industry is saying it costs diners millions of dollars every year. So,
and now I have to also, just before we let you go, I have to worry about my shrimp coming from Las Vegas. How is this working?
It's not, you don't have to worry about it. It's just kind of interesting. Basically, inland aquaculture is something that's starting to take off. I mean, in the middle of the country, you're not by water. It's expensive to ship fish from the coast, and so some companies are starting inland aquaculture where they're basically, building these big fish farms in, their own controlled man-made environment. The shrimp example for Las Vegas is that there's a company that started this big shrimp farm basically in the desert, and they're hoping to supply all of Las Vegas with fresh shrimp. And environmentalists, some really like this idea because they're hoping that it is better and more environmentally friendly than regular aquaculture in the water, where the shrimp is kind of mixed in with all of its, waste, for lack of a better term.
So just be aware. I mean, we don't want to hit too hard on the seafood restaurants. We want them to do well. We're all for. I'm for eating seafood out, but 10 things you might want to know before you go out. You've got those there in Smart Money. Thanks so much for being with us, Anna Pryor.